During that period of time, what most teenagers did was they kind of cruised through drive-ins, and so I used to ride with my brother because he was old enough to have a driver's license, and so we would kind of cruise the drive-ins, and then he used to hang out at this gas station, and the gas stations then weren't like they are now. They don't sell 40,000 things. It was primarily a little building with just, they might have sold some cigarettes, and that was about it, and gas. So we used to go to this K-Way gas station, and we were in there one night, and Bill happened to be in there, and I guess my brother had known him a little, so that's kind of how things got started. That would have been in probably 58, somewhere in that vicinity.
My friends and I were riding around in our car, and Peg and her friends and her brother were riding around in her brother's car, and we all stopped at the same place, and that's how we met.
I was probably 14 at the time, and I don't really remember. I thought he was kind of cute, and then later I think it was my brother told me he was kind of interested in me, and so I think that's kind of how we kind of got together.
Oh, I guess I was must have been about 18, 19, I don't know. But all the hullabaloo was about the blonde-headed girl in the front seat, and I thought the dark-haired girl in the back seat was really cute.
I think there are a lot of things that go into that, and some things you don't realize at the time, but we were pretty compatible. We liked doing things together, and we used to go fishing and do a bunch of oddball things so I guess it was just the compatibility and that we enjoyed doing the same things.
I felt good when I was with her, and I didn't feel that good when I was not there with her.
Bill used to go to this Presbyterian church, and so I think it was Pastor Peterson. I think that was his name. Anyhow, so we decided to get married there, and we had the wedding at the church, and then we had a small reception in the basement with cake, and I think there was like finger sandwiches and that kind of stuff. And then afterwards, Bill's dad had a party for close friends and relatives at his house in the basement, and I guess that was the better of the parties.
Well, we got married in Grandale Presbyterian Church on Plymouth Road. It's the church we went to. It's the church I went to. I don't know about her. And then she started going with me. The wedding was really nice. It was a little bit overcast that day, and we were riding around in her brother's brand new car, and that was cool. We went to, I think I'm pretty sure the reception was kind of like at my dad's house, and there was a big party. That was really nice. A lot of friends were there. It was nice.
Well, our first apartment was actually right across the street from Mackenzie High School, which is where Bill went to school. I didn't. I went to Cody. And it was an upstairs apartment, and it was There was an older man and woman that lived downstairs, really nice couple. And we lived there for probably a year and a half. And then Bill got transferred to Cleveland. So we moved to Cleveland, and in Cleveland we lived a couple different places, Menor on the Lake, and then we moved into Willoughby. And then he got transferred to New York City, and so then we moved to Flushing, Queens, and we were there about a year and a half, and then we went back to Detroit, and we've moved several times since then, but that was the beginning of we moved quite a bit in the first 10 years we were married.
Now, we've lived in a lot of different places. When we first got married, we rented an apartment. I can't tell you the name of the street, but it was right across the street from McKinsey High School. We lived there upstairs there for quite some year and a half. And then I think I got transferred to Cleveland, Ohio. I worked in Cleveland, but we lived in Mentor, Ohio, which was about 25 miles away. And that was nice. And we wanted to get a little bit closer to Cleveland, so about a year later we moved to Willowick, Ohio. We had some friends that lived in the area there, so we rented a place there. Then I got a promotion to New York, and we went to New York City and lived in Flushing, New York for about 15 months. That was at the time of the World's Fair, so that was pretty exciting. And our travels, while we were there, we had lots of company. Went to the Statue of Liberty at least a dozen times. Went to the World's Fair about a dozen times. And it was nice because across the street from the World's Fair, across the tracks from the World's Fair, was Shea Stadium. So I got to go to a few Mets ball games. So that was kind of cool. Then after that, in between there, we lived at my dad's house for a little while. When we came back from New York, we lived at my dad's house for a little while. And then we bought our own house on Minnock in Detroit. Worked at a couple different places because I wasn't real happy with the job. The job I had meant every time I got a promotion, I had to move. And I didn't like that. So we decided we would come down here, see if I could find a job, and I did. So then we moved down here. We lived out at the farm for 6-8 months, found this house, and we've been here for the last 35, 40 years.
Well, they were very, very different. Kirk was a mischievous little kid, very hyperactive, always into trouble. He would, I don't know if I recall other than him being a baby that he ever really took a nap. And he'd be up all day, and then he'd go to sleep at about 10 o'clock at night, and he'd sleep for a couple hours, and then he wanted to be up and playing. So, but because of that, he was very mischievous, and he would pull the drawers out on the dresser and climb up on them. And I found him hanging by the little loop things that you have on the swing with his foot caught in the loop upside down, and he broke both front teeth, and so he was a very mischievous child. Chad was just the opposite. He was Mr. Mild. I always said if I couldn't hear them, Chad would be someplace sitting reading a book, and Kirk would be in trouble. It's just how they were. And Chad was really, well, he did break his ankle once, but other than that, he really, we didn't have a lot of major incidents. But it's just they were night and day different. And it's funny, they got along really well. I mean, I'm sure there was some sibling rivalry in their younger years, but they became very good friends, and they are very good friends to this day.
They were both interested in sports, and that was great for me because I'm very sports oriented. They were both interested in music, so that was great for Peggy because she has a musical background a little bit. Somehow we managed to raise two great kids that gave us no trouble at all and made us proud. So I guess we got lucky.
Well, I think in the younger years when Bill was working, and um, I didn't work for a while, but then I started working, and it was kind of since I was home all the time, I had most of the responsibility for the boys and all that. But as time went on, when I started working, Bill got more involved in running the boys around and doing that kind of stuff. Um, and then after retirement, that was a big change for both of us. Bill retired, I don't remember, 8 years maybe or so before I did. And so he was home by himself during the daytime. And then when I retired, we're both here by ourselves. And so we pretty much do everything together now. Go to the grocery store or whatever. About the only thing that we do separately is Bill, when in the summertime when Bill golfs. But other than that, we're pretty much together most of the time. And we're still together. I guess that's a good thing. Well, we're very comfortable with one another, and I think that, there's a lot of things that you don't have to say because you can kind of read one another's minds to some extent. And, the companionship, as you get older, it's nice to have somebody to go do stuff with. It's been nice, and it's so unusual for people to stay married now that, we've been very fortunate that it has all worked out for us.
The best part of being married 50 years is we can finish each other's sentences. We just know what each other is thinking. There's nothing more important, and I've learned this from my family, I guess, and even from Peggy's family. Caring about each other, trusting each other, and sacrificing a little bit for each other. That's all that really makes a marriage work. Boy, I don't think there's anything hard about it. It just keeps getting easier.